Hello and welcome to another broadcast of Truth Be Told with Tony and Eddie, where we believe in experience becomes truth. I'm your host, and joining me now in studio while Eddie Connor is out of town, we have Captain Ron from the Monday edition. Today we are going to talk with one of the top astrologers in the world. We have Rachel Lang in studio. A lot's going on politically. A lot's going on in the world, a lot coming up in 2017, and we're going to have Rachel here to answer those questions, and we hope that you guys listen today and learn from it and prepare for 2017. Also, here in December, we have the 4th Mercury Retrograde, and we're going to have Rachel give us a little advice to how to get through a Mercury retrograde. And so there's a lot going on. And you can check out Rachel at blissandup.com and so much more. So we hope you stick around for it. So please welcome world-renowned astrologer Rachel Lang. Rachel Lang is in the house.
Hey, I'm here.
Yay. I saw her a couple days ago at my birthday party.
Yep, we were singing.
We were singing.
We were doing some karaoke.
That's right.
Yeah.
I didn't know she could sing like that.
I didn't know you could sing like that. I can't sing that. I can't sing that well.
People say I sound like Cyndi Lauper. Don't get it.
Hey, listen.
I can see it.
Right.
I was thinking more like Michael Bublé.
Oh, I'll take that. Yeah, I'll take that.
You've got a great voice, Tony.
Thank you.
Really.
That's great.
It's a hidden
Well,
talent.
we'll sing at the end of the show. We'll let you
Yeah.
I'll be your backup.
Yeah. Ooh.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I'll do holiday carols.
There we
Christmas carols.
go. There you go. Well, December is already underway. Is it rare to have a 4th Mercury retrograde, or is that common?
Yeah, no, it is. Usually we have between 3 or 4 every year. But what's interesting about 2016 is that we started with a Mercury retrograde and we're ending with a Mercury retrograde.
Thank you very much.
I know. So it's kind of like it kind of puts an exclamation mark on this crazy, wild,
you can say crazy ass year.
Certainly
ass
has,
year
yeah.
that we've had.
Yeah.
I mean, I know everyone. I mean, so many of my clients, so many of my friends, so many people, I've talked to are so ready to put this year
behind them.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's been an intense year. In numerology, it's a 9-year. Which means 2 + 1 + 6 = 9, and 9 years are all about closing chapters, finishing cycles, endings, and getting ready for new beginnings. And so right now we're kind of in that last month of a 9-year in a Mercury retrograde. It's, getting ready to start. It starts on December 19th. So right in time for the holiday travel plans and holiday gatherings and,
I don't know if I want to now.
family. And no, I mean, I think it'll be, I'm an optimist. So I think it'll be actually pretty significant in terms of really coming to some closure in with any problems that have come up over 2016.
Right.
This is a time to start to make peace where there's been conflict. It's a time of sort of opening and becoming more flexible, because we have also we have a whole lot of transits that are happening at the end of this month, and it's this Mercury retrograde is really going to help us to participate in some healing, like healing those troubled relationships or breaking them off, and sort of moving in, getting ready. Everything's getting ready for what are we creating? What's new? What's happening? And what do we want our lives to become?
Right. And I think I've heard that before, because we've covered many Mercury retrogrades before on here.
Yeah.
But Mercury retrograde, a lot of people always use it as a negative time, where sometimes, like you said, breaking things off, sometimes that's the best thing for you. So it can be a great thing to go through.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we have to look at the whole concept of evolution, because ultimately all of our transits, everything that happens to us in our astrological lives, as well as in our personal in our life in terms of events, is moving us toward an evolutionary process. But evolution means transition. And so often we register it in our bodies, or we register it in our hearts, or we get scared, or we kind of go into a fear or want to lock down because it's like change is coming. But we all want, on a higher level, we all want to grow. We all want to evolve. We all want to move toward our highest, best and highest potential. And so, what has been happening in 2016 is that process has been escalated. And so we're moving at a faster rate than we ever have before. In addition to that, we're going through a lot of shift. We're going, from a kind of a third dimensional reality into a fourth dimensional reality. I'm getting really new agey now.
All right.
Yeah. So everything's sort of in flux. And there's a lot of there's a complete raise in consciousness, and we're open to new energies. We're open to new dimensions because we have all these discoveries of black holes and interesting things that kind of have filled our solar system with new electromagnetic frequencies. So we've got all this new stuff accessible to us, and our only option is to grow and stretch and evolve. It's not comfortable, but it's going to be really amazing, once we're kind of in that new space, or once we've kind of moved past this transitional period.
Now, do you think, I've heard this many times before, like, I'm not going to, we'll get into the election and the new year after a bit, but of holding on, like they say the older white men that are holding on to the power, and they're getting very nervous, and that's why we're going through what we're going through now in the political system. Do you feel that is with a lot of people, like the older generation, because the baby boomers were the biggest generation, so they're getting up there now, and so they're having to pass on the power to our generations. Do you feel like there is that change of power too, of the next leadership?
I think it's really interesting. I think our whole construct of power is changing. And that's been something that's been under development since the Pluto-Uranus squares started in 2012. And we're kind of seeing the closing chapter of that whole period of that astrological influence right now. And we will see that throughout this month. But I think what's happening is we're realizing that the hierarchical sort of structured power that we have had under patriarchal regimes and systems no longer works for us, because now we're starting to see we have all been in this process of understanding that our own personal power isn't of dominance. Actually, the highest power, if you think about it, the highest power is really driven from love. And so there's been a shift in deconstructing so much of that patriarchal ideology. And so, this is kind of like I have a friend, Sharon, who said that this whole election and everything that's happening right now is like patriarchy's last stand. It's like its last hurrah. And corporate structures fit within this too. I mean, I think what we saw at Standing Rock is such a great example of how when we sort of realize that our power is in our voices can be powerful. Nonviolent protest, really, sort of standing up for, the planet or individuals who don't have as much political power or financial power or economic status, etc. When we realize that resistance and like a constant moving forward toward what is right and what is just and what is the best for all of us, our best and highest good as a collective. We see that there's power in strength in community, in dedication, and in protecting that which we hold dear.
Let's hope it lasts for the pipeline. We talk about it on our show Monday. We think it'll last till January 22nd. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, and I think, so let's talk about January. Let's talk about January.
All right, let's go ahead. Let's get into it.
Because this Mercury retrograde stations on December 19th. The day that the Electoral College meets.
That's right. Oh,
that's what you brought that up for.
Yeah, exactly. And at that same time, Mars, which is the fiery, like kind of that's the masculine energy. Like if we want to use binary terms, that is like the the go-getter, like sort of like take charge, warrior energy. moves into gentle little Pisces. Little gentle dreamer, humanitarian, spiritually, Pisces,
Right.
When Mars is in Pisces, it's kind of like, what do I do? I just want to love.
So usually at like December 19th is the first day. And then does it intensify throughout? And then when does it end, Mercury retrograde?
So it actually is most intense the days that it stations.
Okay.
Because what's happening is that it's an optical illusion. So Mercury looks like it's standing still in the heavens, and it's actually really close to us. It's like
One of the
really
closer
close.
planets,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So any retrograde planets are kind of close to the Earth. And so we get a really big look at it, like, oh, hey, Mercury, you're there. Oh, wow, okay. And so when, because of that, anything related to Mercury, so communication, transportation, travel, details, your computer, your communication devices, any of those things might present whatever challenges they're going through at that time. You might have communication issues. Now, to give you so that's in your personal life. To give you a kind of a bigger picture political context, this Mercury stationed retrograde during the election day when we didn't have a result between Al Gore and
really?
and Bush, yeah.
Wow.
So there, the whole recount, the
Right,
whole we don't really know what's going on, and so I feel like because this is the day the Electoral College meets, and there's so much that's up right now in terms of Russian hackers and
Right.
and who really won, and she has so many more votes, and we it's like basically the misinformation that we have about our political system, I think, is going to get we're gonna get a spotlight, hopefully, put onto this.
So she's saying there's a chance. Is what she's saying.
I think there's a chance. I do, actually.
Wow, really?
Yeah, well, I think there's a chance for any number of wild possibilities. And so what I'm proposing, because I've been thinking about this a lot, and I don't. And in my work, people ask for predictions, but I don't actually want to make a prediction. What I want to do is I want to invite everyone to kind of develop an idea in your own mind, a vision of what you would like to happen, and start to get excited about the possibilities. If you don't like the outcome of the election, then you can use your mind, you could use your hope, you could use your optimism, you could use all of your spiritual and emotional and psychological and mental energy to project into the future what might be possible. So what might be possible? Any number of really cool possibilities emerge. We discover a Russian hacking system, or there's Hillary gets in somehow, or we balance things out and Obama comes back in. I mean, like we could come up with a lot of different possibilities. So it's time to be creative.
Well, we might as well talk a little about what Mercury, because actually Mercury's ending right before the inauguration.
Yes, it is. Yeah, January.
And then it usually lingers, so it may even cross over a little bit.
Yeah, it's usually in its shadow for about a week after.
So that's probably right, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So Donald Trump, president-elect, shocked some. Some were actually thought that he was going to win.
Shocked most.
Yeah.
I think it even shocked himself. Really?
I think so too.
He was born on June 14th, 1946. Have you ever done his chart?
Yes, I have. I've done it several times for different shows.
When you did the chart and added the, is it November 8th or 9th? What was it? 8th? When you did you see a chance for him?
His chart did not look actually. So I'll answer this in two ways.
Okay.
Usually, when I calculate, when I have a specific formula that I use for calculating who's going to win what, and it showed a very tight race, almost like it was difficult to see who would win. And I have to be honest, Hillary's chart looked better for that day, for election day. Yeah. And I'm trying to remember exactly what I'm actually seeing if I can pull it up right now.
And you had Gary Johnson winning in a landslide,
I did.
which was very unique.
Did you really?
He called it out.
Oh, wow.
That was his prediction.
Gary Johnson. And then it
didn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and so here's I thought it was going to be Hillary all the way. I mean, I nobody
was that hopeful or just by charts?
See, I think it was probably hopeful, but also by charts. I mean, she has a really good chart, and I actually participated in an astrological symposium, and a lot of other people kind of conferred. There were some who said, some well-known astrologers who predicted Trump. I think I had kind of an I think I put a lot of my own desires into my prediction, which is why I try not to make too many predictions.
I think most psychics, more mediums, but psychics, that they don't predict political stuff for that reason, because if it doesn't turn out, then it's like, you
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, I like to be proven right.
Yeah, right.
She's also a female. So
right.
Yeah. I like to be. Yeah. No, I like making predictions and having them come true.
Right.
But for this one, I think it was. Honestly, I think she did. I mean, she did win. She won the popular vote.
Popular vote by more than.
I'm sure they'll make that argument.
Else.
They'll say that. They'll say that. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So I could argue both ways.
Well, why do you think, chart-wise, and just why do you think he won by such? I mean, really, it wasn't. I don't think it was a huge landslide, but it was a pretty decent margin. Mm-hmm. So why do you think, chart-wise, it was showing Hillary was better? But it just, like I said, it feels like we're in a different universe right now. Like, I mean, was there something that shifted, that changed, that maybe affected astrology a little bit?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a great question, and I think so. Here's my take on it, because I actually really I think astrology gives us a really good roadmap for what energies, what things are up, what can take place. But it's more like a forecast. And I'm very specific about my predictive techniques. But I'm also kind of the belief of a lot of ideas of like quantum theory, quantum mechanics, which is essentially that we have the power to shift and change our destinies. And so something could be mapped out astrologically, and we could work with that energy to create a different outcome. Now, I've been thinking about this a lot. And it's kind of like flipped me on my head in terms of, like, what do I believe? And here's what I came up with. I think that events play out and manifest for us, ultimately for our best and highest good. Ultimately for the best and highest good, which means for the evolution of ourselves or of our society, of our country, of a company, whatever that happens to be. And sometimes it might not look like the best and highest good at the moment when it's happening, but that might be exactly what's required in order to break down the system that's flawed and in order to rebuild something new. And so, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I mean, like, sure, you guys. I mean, you probably have thoughts and ideas about this too.
Never. Because 2017, I talked to one psychic, and she was like, "Oh, it's going to be worse than 2016." I'm like, "Don't tell me that." I mean, I just had a really. I mean, with the surgeries and, with parents and election.
Yeah,
I mean, just one right after the other. I'm thinking, why would 2017 be worse, and how could it be worse than 2016? So Trump gets in the office. Like you said, the people that listen to our podcast, we get, you're a Hillary supporter, you're a Trump supporter. I mean, how can you? But we have to be real here that, political system, whoever gets in there, one little thing that you do can become illegal. I mean, and there's a lot of stuff that Donald Trump with his businesses and, the blind trust and all these things, like he's pushing the borderlines of.
And he's not even in yet.
Oh, he's not even in yet. So I'm thinking once he has full power, what do you see, or what do you predict for him specifically? Do you think he'll? Because I hear a lot. Do you think he'll finish his term?
I don't. I actually
Wow.
So
I've heard this from a lot.
So
of
I
psychics.
actually am having a difficult time even seeing him in office
Wow.
at all. Yeah. But here's another piece. Again, I've been really, like, this whole thing turned me upside down. I think that the political stories that play out in our lives, or in our society, are actually projections of collective consciousness.
That's interesting.
You know, so it's kind of like this is the mythology. This is the story. We have, you know,
The narrative, yeah.
Donald Trump and
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton are both playing, like, you know, mythological characters.
Right.
And so if we want to change the story, we need to change our thoughts. We need to change the story. We need to imagine a new story. Kind of like, you know, like we can write a new narrative for this. But I think it requires every single one of us going in, you know, taking some time and going in and reimagining possibilities. Because I think we get so bombarded with the news that becomes the guiding narrative. And it takes away our creative potential. So in my narrative, in my creative exploration, I would like to write that the Electoral College has a big, huge wake-up call, and that they all decide that this is not going to work
There's
for the
literally at
country.
least one guy already who said he's not doing it.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
There
actually
is
was
the one
that-
from
not-
Texas,
Yep,
right? Yeah.
yep.
Oh,
yeah.
that went for Trump.
Mhm.
I mean that. Oh, wow, I
Mhm.
did not know
The
that.
state did, but he's not.
Yeah.
Can't do
Wow.
it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it could
It's
happen.
one, but
it's,
yeah.
it's one. Or, you know, or that, you know, that the recounts come up with some fascinating results.
Right.
So, I mean, do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Absolutely.
like
yeah.
I think that we have this idea that we are sort of at the mercy of what's happening to us at any moment, and not participants in making the change. But we are, and whatever we can do, you know, that we start with imagining new possibilities, getting excited about what could be. Then we connect in community, and we share our talents and our gifts, and we come up with creative ways to gather together, to, you know, to kind of take the power within ourselves, and then eventually we do become more of a democracy.
Right.
But we have to realize that power isn't just, it's not just the political power. Like, that's the hierarchical way of thinking. True power is within all of us,
Right.
to shape the reality that we have, that we're living in.
And most people, I mean, if you think about it, most people in December are like, I can't wait for the new year. I mean, so I don't know if that's
Yeah.
actually going into the new year negative, thinking like, oh, 16 was terrible, but 2017, you know, I'm ready for it.
Well, you always think of rebirth. And
Yeah,
new
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, I guess we
Yeah.
naturally.
majority of
Uh-huh.
us go into the new year with a positive attitude,
Right.
until something kicks us in the balls.
Right, you join the gym, you go to the gym for January.
Yes,
yeah.
yeah. I know I do every year.
but adding it up, so that'd be that would be 2017 is in numerical, or in
It's a
numerology
one.
is a 1. What is
Yeah.
a 1?
A one, and I'm not a numerologist, so
Right.
I'm an astrologer, but I know a little bit.
Okay.
But a one is all about starting over. It's a new beginning.
So I guess
See,
a 1.
I
Yeah.
just told you.
Yeah. But, you know, but we have, so and we're starting the new year in a retrograde cycle. So
Right.
Mercury's still going to be retrograde for a few days. And so I think a lot of our new beginning will be a reevaluation of what we've just been through, and what are the major lessons, what are the major themes. And so it'll sort of be like we'll be walking back through memory lane, and really sort of solidifying some of the growth growth through challenges, growth through joy, growth in all ways. And then when we move into 2017 is interesting.
Please tell, please tell, because I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Give me something good.
So last year and next year, we're in this period right now where we've just come out of a lot of mutable squares in 2016. Mutable signs are Virgo, Pisces, Sagittarius, and Gemini. And we've had a number of squares, which represents tension between our mutable planets. And that was all about, sort of inspiring us to commit to what we want and make firm commitments,
right,
or walk away. And we've had to learn how to surrender in a lot of ways to kind of, unseen forces, to the whims of other people in our lives who might have said, I'm out of here, or to disease. I mean, there's been a lot of loss, a lot of cancer, a lot of those kinds of things. And so it's been a time of going with the flow, letting go, realizing you can't hold too tight, you can't attach too much. In the process of that, it's been a year where our higher selves are calling us to step up our game in big ways and really align ourselves on our paths. And so if people have not been authentically living their lives, haven't been sort of honest with themselves or with others, a lot of that's come out. And so we've all been sort of pushed in uncomfortable ways to really get on board with what we're here to do and who we're here to be. And as we move into 2017, we started off with one more mutable square, which is Saturn square Chiron. And
what is that?
And so Saturn is stability, it's structure, it's kind of the father of the planetary configurations. And Saturn deals with, what is it that you want, that you're willing to work for, because I will get you that, but you're going to have to work. And I'm going to be on your side, but we're going to go through some testing. And so Chiron is that point in our chart that represents our deepest needs, our deepest wounds, It's the part of us that is unhealed from childhood or from past lives, if people believe in that.
Mm-hmm.
Chiron is often an aspect of ourselves that we can't necessarily see, but it plays out in a lot of ways in our relationships and in how we want to contribute or how we want to give back to others. So, for example, if someone's experienced sexual abuse or some kind of physical abuse or something like that, their Chiron might sort of give them that Chiron in their chart might sort of reflect that. But it also might show ways that they could heal that by giving back to others, ways that a burning desire to help other people who've been abused, can come from that. And so when we have any kind of Chiron transits, we're going to go into our feelings, because that's the only way we can heal. Healing requires going into the depths, going beneath the surface. And in our culture, we've got this sort of enlightenment thinking, which is, everything's great up here, but you get down into the heart, and it's wow, that's scary. I'm feeling. But Chiron's going to pull us down into those beautiful, rich spaces. So we're all going to get some opportunities for some healing, and
we need it.
Yeah. So there might, and there's a lot of relief that comes from that. So it's kind of like a time of letting go. And so this is going to happen 3 times throughout the year. And it's going to be one of our kind of our bigger, I think, our bigger themes. And I think what's going to happen at the end of 2017, we also have a Pluto, a Pluto-Jupiter square going on. We've got a Jupiter-Uranus opposition. We've got a lot of things that are going to, I think that in our political picture, we're probably going to see a lot of shifting, a lot of changing, a reconstruction, a reimagining of what power is, because that's what Pluto is all about.
At the end of 2017?
Yeah, throughout 2017. Yeah.
We're seeing it now. I mean,
yeah, we are. And it's kind of like the conclusion of transits that have been going on since 2012, which is like, I think best sort of symbolized by the whole 99% movement,
Oh, right.
and sort of then like kind of Bernie Sanders coming up, and us starting to realize the corruption of corporate of corporations and how much they play a part in our political structure.
That's what we do on Mondays, right?
Yeah.
Talk about that
all the time. And I mean, I think there's been a lot of in 2016 of a lot of revolutions. Donald Trump's revolution, Bernie Sanders' revolution. Hillary's I don't really see much as a revolution, just because I felt like people just kind of fell in line.
That was staying the course. She's the opposite of a revolution.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that if that was what she was up against, then I can see kind of why she did not. Well, she won the popular vote, but
she won.
Right.
I mean,
right. But I know all these people listen on YouTube. They're going to be all cussing us out. But
and really, like, whoever is our, I want to say that whoever is our president is really a reflection of our collective consciousness, whether it's Trump or whether it's Hillary, whether it's somebody, Mike Pence, or somebody else who comes in from out of the blue. Which could happen.
It could happen.
Something around December 19th, I would think.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that when you say that there's a kind of what would you call this this election is about what, the consciousness, what would you say, collective
consciousness,
that I think that's a lot of us didn't see it. Because we're out in California and we're just like everything's like
that's true.
Everybody we're
Yeah.
just a big melting pot, and pot and gay and lesbian community, and I mean it's just Latinos and everybody's together, and we just kind of get used to it, but we don't see the Midwest and the South because you're from Tennessee, right?
From St. Louis originally.
Okay,
but I lived in Tennessee. I lived in Tennessee for
not
quite
even close,
some time.
but all right.
Closer than
you're
here.
from North Dakota, right? Okay,
right. Yeah. You're in Australia, right? But I just don't think we could see what they are feeling or thinking unless you happen to travel there and spend time there. Yeah. Because most people, if you meet somebody from the South and you just meet them at a restaurant and you just talk for 15 minutes and you're getting the best of them. So I think, a lot of us didn't see that and didn't know. And that's why I think a lot of us are shocked. Like, what the hell just happened to this country? But unfortunately, that's what they've been feeling for a long time.
Yeah.
And TV was saying that. The polls weren't. Nobody was saying it was probably going this way.
Right.
Yeah.
We watched it every week and talked about it. Well, she's up by 8, so
why should I? And there's a lot of people that didn't even vote because she's up. She's going to be fine.
But did you also see? There was an article that went around that showed different covers. I didn't see if this was like I didn't pay too much attention. But apparently, I think what I'm trying to say is I think that news media is delivered in different parts of the country. With differently. Differently.
Oh, I believe that.
Oh, that's interesting.
I believe that. And it's owned by certain people, and they
do that. They even have stores that are branded differently, but they're the exact same store.
Oh yeah, they know what their audience is. Yeah. So, being an astrologer, I'm just going to throw this out there, and I'm not going to put you on the spot. But when you look up something, how does it take something very long to look up a date to figure out? Because my thing is like the Iran deal.
Okay.
When it went into effect, and can you kind of tell what's the potential of that staying? And I mean, this can go on and on with a lot. So I was going to see if I can find it. See when
which part of the Iran deal? You mean this?
Well, Donald Trump wants to pull. I mean, completely
back out of that.
Out of the deal. Yeah. But then Iran said there's going to be severe consequences if you guys do. So, and so I'm just trying to figure out if we can figure. Is that the joint conference? Was that last year? Was that when it came in effect? I can't remember.
I don't know.
I don't know
Joint
the date.
Comprehensive Plan of Action. I'm not for sure if that's what it is. Well, I was trying to find some dates. Maybe we can, that that could be affecting us in 2017 that Obama, made effective.
We could use the Paris environmental thing when 188 countries went into that.
Let's do that.
Let's do that one.
Paris.
Okay.
It's easy to find that date, I would think, right?
You would think so.
Yeah.
What was that called? Paris Climate? What was it called? An agreement or whatever?
Yeah, there we go. Let's see if I still
There you go.
Also, I want to say while we're looking that up, just Mercury retrograde in the United States chart
Oh shit.
is stationing just it's going to be stationing really close to opposing the U.S. sun, and Pluto's been opposing the
What is
U.S. The country is a Cancer.
Right.
It's born on July 4th,
Aw,
1776. It's so cute,
Just a
little
cutie
Cancer
patootie.
baby. And so that puts
And it has cancer, so I thought.
Right.
exactly. Right now,
Yeah.
right now it's got a little bit of So Pluto, it's the planet of major reconstruction, transformation. It's the planet that relates to life and death and all kinds of power, like corporations, structural power, and Pluto's been opposing the U.S. sun for 3 years, so off and on, or 2.5 years, and it kind of went through its last pass right at the election. So in a lot of ways, I think this everything that we're experiencing now with kind of the concerns about some of the policies that are going to be implemented
right.
and some of the people in the administration. I think what we're concerned about is essentially the death of our country as we know it. And that's sort of been something that I've experienced just in terms of my clients and friends and people feeling like the election results, no matter who you voted for, there was grief that came up, and that's one thing I kept on hearing over and over again, even from people who voted for Trump. It's like, wow, I'm really taken by this result. So
No, I see
I
that.
totally
I honestly
see that.
think,
Absolutely.
and I may get some flack for it, but I honestly think the U.S. is on its way out. I mean, I really do. I don't see it lasting because the division in this country is so much. I don't see how it's almost like a family. I mean, really, it's like a dysfunctional family that eventually something's going to explode or somebody's going to explode. And then that family is like, I don't want to have nothing to do with you anymore. And that's what I feel right now, that we're such a divided country. I just don't know how. Because, we thought Obama was going to do it. But unfortunately, look at after his, term. And now it's completely seems worse than it was. So I just don't know how America's going to survive. I really don't. As a 50-state.
Agreed. I've got the Paris dates.
Okay, go for
now,
it.
do you want the? It was signed.
Well, tell her, because when do you think?
Well, she's got to have. We're all hearing this, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I mean,
Tell her.
yeah,
Tell her.
Yeah, don't like. Why are you telling me?
It's April 22nd of 16. It was signed.
For 22nd, you said?
April 22nd.
Okay.
So 4/22.
Uh-huh.
And then of 2016, it was signed, but it became effective on November 4th. So
Okay.
does that matter? Which one of those do you want?
I want the
that's a tricky-
signature date.
Signature date.
Because that
4/22/16.
signature date is that's powerful. So on that date, and what I'm doing is I'm looking at this in the US's chart. So that I can, because I think that's what we're focused on, is like, how is this going to affect our country?
Right, of course. Right.
What's happening with our country at this time?
Right.
And honestly, Mars plays a really strong role in this chart. And Mars is that planet of like fire and passion and raw. It's the planet ultimately that relates to separation. And so I think that if we look at this in the bigger picture, like of what could happen if this is undone.
Well, he's talking about possibly pulling out of this deal. So
exactly. I think it could have some pretty significant consequences for us. To pull, I think it's almost like one of these hot button issues. We don't want to touch it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Lily Whitehawk. Actually,
Hi, Lily.
You know Lily?
Yes, I love Lily.
She says, I think this could happen. I think we must be talking
Yeah.
about it. But Obama's ordering an investigation into possible hacking
Yep.
of the election will find evidence.
Yeah.
He will call the election invalid and call for a new election. He will remain president for a while.
And she's really psychic. So I sorry I gave you away, Lily.
Oh.
but yeah.
And is that possible?
Can I say a horrible thing?
Yes.
I feel like every election cycle, every Super Bowl, you hear this kind of talk, but it never happens. I mean, don't you think it's a really long shot that Obama would stay in power and this would happen? I mean, I think
I guess if they found,
I would not wager on this. If
I don't think I actually. This is a reimagining time.
Reimagine. Go ahead. Imagine.
Honestly, I think we're living in a time unlike we've ever lived before.
That's true.
Where nothing is predictable, and we're going to see this again with Jupiter, with the Jupiter-Uranus oppositions that are coming later in 2017. But yeah, this is a time when it's like there's a lot of discord and disruptive, sort of tricksterish energy, and so I think that where things have always followed certain protocol or have been sort of somewhat of predictable, I think we're seeing right now that consciousness shifts and changes really faster than ever, and it affects the outcome of our future. So I think that possibilities that have never been possible before are opening up for us.
Nori always says how it feels like things are going faster now. I feel that way in my life.
My
I
God.
certainly do. Now, I don't know if that's because I'm getting older or that's because everything is going this way.
What was there's like something that John Williams said something that I can't remember. It was like some effect that actually caused the time to speed up, and I can't remember.
Oh yeah, there is an actual.
There was a
I can't
term
think of that,
for it,
there
but
is.
but I haven't looked into it yet. But that sounded pretty fascinating. Well, we have about 9 minutes left, and I want to know: do you see through astrology any big events besides anything political? But do you see anything that might be coming for 2017, specifically maybe in America?
Yeah, definitely. So, one of the big things, couple of big things that we have this year in America, our eclipse cycles are going to be pretty pronounced, especially the one in August here. We've got one happening in February. That's going to be pretty powerful for us too, just because of other things that are happening, and we'll start. All those influences will bleed over into March. But eclipses a lot of times correlate to shakeups and specifically earthquake shakeups. And I'm not saying we're having earthquakes or it's going to be, but I feel like there's a lot of like sort of tectonic shifting going on, and then I also, and so I think that's something that we'll see globally, a lot of that kind of activity, and I also can see, I don't like to be like a harbinger of doom, but
You're too happy for the bad news.
Yeah. But I think a couple of things. First of all, this is a time of massive innovation. And so I think we're going to start seeing really big solutions to some of our climate change problems. We're going to see a lot of inventions, a lot of new discoveries. I think we're going to have a whole new wave of music and like sound frequency. Like I think we're opening up to new ideas. I think we're opening up to new frequencies. We're getting new information from other dimensions, like through some of the black holes that we have, which are kind of like wormholes into other places. I think there's going to be a lot more exploration about extraterrestrials and life outside of our solar system or outside of our planet. Of life, I'm not talking just about aliens, but I'm talking about all kinds of life forms. Like we're discovering all this water on Ceres, in Mars, so we're discovering the potentiality of life. And so I think that there will be a lot more of that awareness. And so, I think innovation is one of the key words I think we can see for 2017 as we're all moving forward in 1 year, kind of like taking charge and, fasten your seatbelts. we're also letting the barriers off of some of our fears. And so people are going to be taking more risks than usual, maybe going out on their own, doing more entrepreneurial kind of stuff. I think we're going to see a lot of people sort of leaving corporate America or leaving their cubicle jobs and wanting to do something independent or do something for themselves, something new. And so I think there are going to be shifts in terms of the structure of the workplace as we've known it.
I can see that. I mean, I definitely, a lot of people I know have hitting that time of their life of going, I don't want to do this the rest of my life type of thing. And yeah,
Sure.
Yeah. And, you know, but I was in my 40s when I, you know, decided to do, and I think
when I get into my 40s, I'm probably going to feel the same way.
Yeah,
Yes,
me
you
too.
will.
Yeah.
But I do. I think you're right on that one because there's a lot of people that want to start. And I encourage people. I'd say if I can go out and start my own business, anybody can do it. And I think it's just really finding that strength within yourself and knowing that it's going to be okay.
Totally.
Yeah.
One other thing, too, I predict.
Oh, get it.
Predicting. I feel like our ideas about health are changing really as fast as everything else is changing. And I think we're going to see a surge in alternative therapies and new ideas coming forward for you know, methods of healing and ways of linking the body, mind, spirit.
Right.
And so I think that there's going to be a whole shift in our healthcare system. And
It
like a start of a shift. So a whole shift is a little bit dramatic.
Repeal and replace.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly. But I think we're going to start seeing more and more people gravitate toward healing, toward acupuncture, toward you know, alternative therapies.
Well, I have to say, you know, because Captain Ron, he does another show here, Elevate the Conversation.
Yes, yes.
With they do with the medical marijuana, and just, you know, the freedom to use. And I do agree because my dad, who I believe, you know, he in the beginning stages of Parkinson's, and he's always looked down on marijuana. You know, that's just
Cannabis is a huge in that field.
Right.
Yeah.
Parkinson's is supposed to be very
And
helpful.
so I Dr. Frank, who is his co-host, is I asked him about, you know, as I said, Parkinson's, and he said, oh yeah, cannabis oil and, you know, combination and that it can help a lot. So I mentioned to my father, and I thought, oh my God, how am I going to even ask him?
Right.
And I said, hey Dad, you know, one of our doctors, they have a show about, you know, marijuana and medical marijuana, and he was telling me that, you know, cannabis oil and combination could actually really help Parkinson's, and I think you should try it. And I thought he would just go like, hell,
Are you out of your mind?
no.
Right.
And he goes, how do I get it?
Awesome.
And I was
Awesome.
wow.
Do you feel like you've contributed to the
Well, I feel like the
conversation?
mind, like you said, the collective consciousness is changing.
Yeah.
That is.
Right, because
Yeah.
I've known many people here in town that are in their 70s that's, smoke pot since they were
Sure.
a kid.
Mm-hmm.
My dad has never smoked pot at all. Drank all his life, but never smoked pot. And so I never thought he would do that. So the shift, I think, in people's knowledge and mind and just acceptance of alternative stuff
Agreed.
is growing
Yeah.
and growing and growing. And so I think, you know, even my mother, who is bedridden in a nursing home, said she would love to try it just because, you know, she's at constant pain and stuff. So I think it's like, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, the medication
See,
they
I
give
think
her,
if you're in bed, like your mother's condition, you
Right.
should be able to do whatever you
Yeah.
want.
Right, 'cause
You want
really-
to try heroin? Go right ahead.
because really,
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah.
the people in that position are there to
Jesus.
die. And
Right.
I hate to say that about my mother, but
No.
really, that's what they're
Yeah.
there. They're there for the rest of their lives.
And they're already getting drugs that like
oh,
That are horrible.
yeah, they have
Yeah.
so many side
Horrible.
effects.
yeah. She
horrible.
always
Yeah.
like they only give me like 2 or 3 pain pills a day, and I said, Mother, you don't need that many. And so I think if she had something like marijuana, she wouldn't need the painkillers.
We hear stories all the time. I mean, it's just constantly.
Yeah.
It's really remarkable.
Well, I guess it's time we got to go, Rachel. But Rachel, I love having you here.
Thank you.
And you're so knowledgeable with
Thank you.
astrology, and you're also psychic medium too, right? People can go to blissandup.com. And what can they expect when they come to you? And do they have to be specific, or do you kind of give a combination of all?
I give a combination of all.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone. I always like to make sure I'm addressing the specific needs that they have, but they usually come up even if someone gives me no information at all.
Right. And so when people come to you, the more specific they can be about, time of birth.
Yes.
And,
that kind of specifics. Yes. Yeah, I thought you meant questions.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Because I think that where you were born, all that stuff makes a huge difference.
Yes. Yeah. Date, time, place of birth. Yeah.
And can you get more of a general reading without the time? And
you can see where the planets are, but there are really you can't necessarily see where the moon is placed.
Right.
And the moon is a really big player in the chart, or where the rising is. And there is a process I can do called rectification, which is basically...
Did you had one of those done,
I had a
right?
rectification.
Did you?
Rectal,
Oh, good. A rectification. Yeah.
Did you say rectal?
Damn near killed him.
I know.
Yeah,
that's why I'm walking funny.
I do a different type.
Oh, there you go.
I'll close on.
Oh, close on.
Close on
never
rectification.
Never mind. I'm going to go somebody else then. Skype. Do you do Skype stuff?
I do Skype. I do FaceTime. I do in-person here in Los Angeles or Nashville or San Francisco. I have little pockets that I travel to. Or phone.
I love me some Rachel. She's very talented.
Thank you so much for letting me be on the show today.
Oh, of course. We got to give you this. Our applause. Our canned applause. All right. Well, we hope you guys learned something. Again, we'll be back next week. I believe Eddie's back from his tour to North Carolina.
Oh.
I know. I won't tell you why because...
Hush, hush.
Yeah, well... he would probably kill me if I told you. But we have a great show for you. We are going to talk about uranium.
Ooh.
Yeah, we have a lady, Elizabeth Rogers. Her husband is a Oscar-winning. I'm not really. She didn't. She just said he won an Oscar, but every Mel Brooks movie ever made, he worked on it. So
wow.
So yeah, she did a documentary and it's called Hot Water. It's about the uranium issue, so she's going to really get into details about this. I think that's going to be a great show.
Sounds cool.
And so we hope you guys come and listen next, because our Monday show is off till January.
That's what I hear.
Until we may have to do one.
I didn't know it until he said it.
I didn't either. I was just like, okay.
We were doing the show, and he goes, okay, well, that's it for the end of the year. And I went, it is?
But we may have some topics come up that we want to talk about.
That's right.
And Rachel, come back again.
I would love to. Thank you so much.
Right. Thanks.
All right. On over Tony Sweet. Truth Be Told with Tony and Eddie right here on ubnradio.com, where we believe in experience becomes truth. I'm Tony Sweet.
Captain Ron.
Rachel Lang.
And we'll be back next week. Bye. Hey, thank you for listening to Truth Be Told with Tony and Eddie right here on Universal Broadcasting Network. Make sure you go to our iTunes page. Just type in Truth Be Told with Tony and Eddie. Listen to us on iHeartRadio. Again, Truth Be Told with Tony and Eddie. And go to our YouTube channel, subscribe, and please leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you. So please support our sponsors and make sure you listen to us every Friday right here on Universal Broadcasting Network from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Until then, have a good week.